All right, looks like we're already live here on Facebook tonight, Sunday night. Let me check and see where we're at. Make sure everybody is on with us. MacBook speakers. We like to come to you on Sunday night, and we like to just kind of round up the week, get ready for the week, talk about a few revelations that we had, a few things maybe to get your week started, have your pray drive on high. And Craig, one of the things I was thinking about was this Activate event. We did more sales in one day than we did in the first 13 days of the month. Okay. And there's something to be learned there. There's something to be learned about getting people to something and getting them excited. So that's one thing we're going to talk about tonight. Okay. Because the numbers broken down, we had 1,500 people actually register, 1,555. We had 500 show up. So there was a drop off of almost 1,000 people that said they needed to get activated, signed up, and then this didn't even take the time and energy to show up. Okay. And then, which will be the 1,000 people probably that have the worst problems in January and February, March. Then you had another 100 plus people in the room. So about 600 people, probably 50 to 60 people out of those 600 people have already taken action, with another 50 to 75 sales calls and follow-ups that'll be happening this week. And so yeah. I think one way to look at this is what's an easier way for people to sell things? Okay. And like I said, we did more in one day than we did in 13 days, pounding the phones, calling people, following up, trying to get people excited to sell things. And so that was one thing I want to talk about tonight is because in our Monster Producer Coaching Program tomorrow, I'm going to be asking these questions like, what's your path to monetization? What's a hard path? And what's an easy path? Because I don't think a lot of people think like this. And I was talking to a real estate agent tonight that's looking to sign up for our coaching program for person of interest and Micheal Burt School. And I said, look, I gave her those numbers. I said, we'll generate 200,000 in one day. You'll never do that in real estate. And okay. In one day like that, unless you do a big deal and get a big commission. So, you know, it has a lot to do with the vehicle. So that's one thing I want to talk about tonight. The other thing I want to talk about is the offer. What was interesting is when I made the offer on Friday, some people, as soon as I was finished, stood up and walked right over there and said, I'm in. And some people were literally scared to death to even, like it scared them to death to even ask them to do something. And I think this has got a lot to do with the mindset of people. If you are scared to death of someone to ask you to take action on a service, it's going to be really hard for you to ever sell something in your life. And it was so uncomfortable for some people, Craig, when we went off camera, I actually said to the studio audience, if that made you uncomfortable, which I felt like it did for some of you, then you're going to have a hard time ever making any money. Okay. So let's tackle number one. What's your thoughts about 1,500 people signing up and 500 showing up and generating that kind of revenue in one day by solving a problem for people?
Well, I mean, the show rate and the drop off is something that we'll probably typical see if you're in digital marketing or if you're in, anything. People will create all the excuses in the world. They have the best intentions, right? But intentions don't make money. Intentions are basically, hey, I want to do that. I have a want, but people don't take action until they feel like they have a need or they have a responsibility or they're, paying money. So since we gave that event free, we knew that there was going to be a drop off. So essentially we knew that we had to put the numbers on it because we knew we were looking around 30-35% show rate based on, what free does. If you pay a little bit of money, you probably are going to get bigger show rate. So that's the first lesson learned. If you don't pay for it, then essentially you're not going to be inclined to go or have the responsibility to show up, even though you said, with you signing up, putting your name, email, phone number in there that I'm coming, you don't show because you have no skin in the game. So that's the first thing. Yep. The second thing is, making an offer like that shows you a path to monetization because it's one to many. You know, most times we can do one-to-one, and you're going to have to charge a really high ticket, and you're going to have a lot fewer people in that category that can be able to pay that service. As long as we're giving a high level of service, like we did with Jeff and a couple of other one-on-ones that we can get after, and, you know, pack in a lot of time and effort into a small amount of time to help someone speed their learning curve. Essentially, you're paying for time. That's really what it comes down to. So by spending all day with us, people being in the room, they had to sit there. I mean, that was a long event. It was, you know, it was grueling for you. I could certainly see it's stressful at times. I mean, people don't know the headaches that we had to deal with in that event. That was probably one of your, I would have to imagine, one of your hardest events to put on, based on all the technicalities going on behind the scenes that people don't know. But it paid off, obviously. You know, we would love to always do more, but I think that will be, you know, as we progress through this week and do our follow-ups, I think we'll get, you know, a good clip of that, people. And I think that it was a great event. I think you put on a show. I think people were excited. You know, you had all those softball girls in the room, about 30 of them from the other coach there. And, you know, they were ready to take action. So obviously they're in college. They don't really have the funds yet. But, you know, if you could establish dominance in a place like, you know, people seeing that they need coaches, they need performance, they need development, because they're being coached right now. That's when you want to tackle these people, because they know they're better because they're getting coaching. And the further you move away from a coach, whether it's a sports coach, a performance coach, a mindset coach, the more you think you could do it yourself, and to realize that it's just going to take you 10 times longer if you try to figure it all out yourself instead of the path to least resistance.
Well, I got this new bike that is a motorbike. It's a motorized bicycle. Okay. And now let me tell you, there's a benefit to this, because I tested it out today. I actually burned just as many calories. I was able to go faster, and it doesn't kick in. What a lot of people don't know about a motorized bike is it doesn't kick in unless you're pedaling. Like only when you're pedaling does it kick in. I didn't really know how to operate the bike. So I got out today and just tried it out. And I was telling my wife that I could go further, faster. And I got back and I checked the calorie burn. I burned the same amount of calories. I was just able to do the bike ride in 15 or 20 minutes less time. So the path was because I thought you just get on and ride like it's motorized and you just ride around like a motorcycle. But the motor doesn't kick in until you're pedaling. As long as you're pedaling, it accelerates. Okay. And I was thinking, this is really what coaching does, because in the new book, Flip the Switch, we're still pushing hard. I'm posting comments. You can get that book. We're still we got about 17 days left. I got 50 copies that were sent to me. So I've got a copy. We gave out about 15, copies at the lodge the other day. But I was thinking, in the book, I talk about two studies. One study is Anders Ericsson that says there's 10,000 hours of practice. Okay. 10 years or 10,000 hours of practice to master something. Okay. That's a study that Malcolm Gladwell made famous in his book, Outliers. But then there's a book called The Art of Impossible. I refer to both of these books in my new book. And that is a book by Stephen Kotler. And he talks about that there's studies that refute 10,000 hours, that you could actually master something in a concentrated period of time if you had extreme periods of practice with correction, with feedback. Okay, so that'd be with coaching. And he uses extreme sports people. The amount of time extreme sports people practice, skateboarders, these things that do extreme sports, and how long they practice a day, which could be 8 or 10 hours a day, every day, right? I was watching the guy that played Elvis in the Elvis movie do interviews last night, because that's what I do on the weekends, is I kind of study people. And he literally locked himself up for a year, and all he did was study Elvis every single day, how he talked, when he laughed. Right? Yeah. So people wonder why he won the award, man, because the dude was totally focused on one thing for 1 year. So I talk about this in the book, is that it is possible for you to master. See, what people saw me do the other day is a culmination of about 25 to 46, really 15, started speaking at 15. So that what they saw is 31 years of me practicing. Okay. And that's why you get better and better and better and better and better. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about the offer, because at the free event, remember guys, it's free. We gave it to people for free. We expected people, in all transparency, to at least buy one copy of the book. Wouldn't that be fair, Craig? If I'm going to give them 6 hours of coaching, my thought was at least do us a solid and buy at least one copy of the friggin' book for us, okay? Because I'm going to give you 6 hours, 31 years. I'm going to give my heart and soul to you. All I want you to do is click and purchase the book in exchange of that, okay? Then we got there and we said, okay, how do we go 8 weeks? We called it Activate. It was a $29.97. It's $3,000. That was it for 8 weeks with me, a full day boot camp with me. And if you took action that night, you got 6 months of Monster Producer. It's really, really ridiculous offer, to be honest with you. You got Purpose to Profit on digital, $1 Million Expert. But some people still sitting in that room, Craig, you would have thought a bear climbed into the lodge. They were scared to death. Okay, now, so this is a mindset problem. You and I both have spent a lot of money on coaching. A lot of money. I mean, I routinely spend about $100 grand a year or more on coaching for me. Okay. I've had every kind of coach you can imagine. I'm totally humble and coachable when it comes to people I think can help me get to a higher level. Why do you think, how does a person out there watching this, because they're going to watch it on YouTube, how do they get over this fear of spending money on themselves? Because it is a major fear, man. I thought something when I made that.
I got the thing. And so it's just a mindset. And essentially it's this. If you spent money on a car, on a house, on a something, doesn't really matter what, in the past, and you're still living, breathing, working, making money today, things may have gone wrong or may have gone right. But at the end of the day, coach, did you die? You remember that, that meme? Hey, but did you die? You didn't. You found a way to overcome your loss. And so people always think I'm going to spend money on something and I don't know what I'm going to get in return. Well, I can tell you what, if you take a coach on, it doesn't matter. There's obviously good coaches and bad coaches. But essentially, if someone's going to transfer knowledge, it's an investment in yourself, and that you have to understand that that is only going to help speed up your production of whatever it is that you're trying to do, as long as you go through the reps. And so people need to get over the fact that they're going to be parting way with their hard-earned money, because they're always going to get more. You know, if you go broke, if you lose a little something or whatever that is, that's a way for you to actually activate your prey drive, as you would call it, to say, hey, I have to do something. I have to make a shift. I have to take what I'm learning from this thing to go do something. I've talked to many of your people, and they buy, a lot of the times the bigger buyer is they're taking and they're putting it on debt and they're putting on credit cards, because they know that, by having a coach, they see the benefits of saying, you know what, I don't know everything. I want to speed up my progress. I would like to do more with my life, because today, I heard this really cool thing today. There was on a meme, or not a meme, but a reel. One guy was saying, you know what, I kind of want to just have, tone down my life a little bit. Like, I feel like I got really, really highs and really, really lows. And he said his therapist said this to him, you know what, if you look at a heart rate monitor, it goes up and goes down. But if you want to live in the middle, you're flatline. So if you want to live average, you're not moving forward, you're dead. Right. So you got to understand there's gonna be highs and there's gonna be lows. Sometimes a little bit of anxiety of spending a little bit of money, as long as you do the work and put it in, you're going to get that investment tenfold. And that's something that people are just not believing in themselves yet. So they have to get out of themselves, because they know they're not willing to invest the time, willing to take to get there. And investing in coaching is putting the time and the reps in. And maybe that's what they're afraid of. I don't have time. Well, guess what? If you don't make time for something, you're going to be without later on anyway, or you're never going to achieve the thing that you wanted to.
Well, it's like, it's kind of like, how do you go further faster? And what you're doing is you really need two things: is courage and cash. You're going to spend the money somewhere. And what pains me as a coach is to see people get the same results year over year over year, because they won't just have a little courage and invest in somebody to help them. They're still, it's the real estate agent still doing 22, 24 deals a year, working their ass off because they just won't spend the money to get a coach that can teach them how to do 60 deals or build a team or grow. And then you go look at people that I've coached, like Jay Kinder and Al Stasic, that have 10,000 agents in their organization. And you say, how much money have you guys spent on coaching? And they would say, coach, right? They spent 80,000 with me. And then they've hired everybody from Jay Abraham to what's his name, Dan Kennedy, to Sheplack, to Coach Burt. I mean, these are all expensive people. I mean, these are all the best people at what they do. And so, but then you sit there and say, that's why they're at the top. So it's really painful for me to watch people struggle when they don't have to struggle. And when they would just, so I wrote down courage and cash. I wrote down further, faster. Now at the Activate event, Craig, we offered people to come spend 2 days with me. And we called that the 2x4. And I said, I'm going to take 4 people for 2 days. You're going to live at the lodge. You're literally going to stay there. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's like going to camp. It's like going to mindset camp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Caleb and Natalia, E3, that handled the event for us, you know, we went to dinner last night from 8 to 10 to talk about some things, right? And got all the kids in the bed, and they said, you know, Coach, you're a lot more of a mindset coach than you get credit for. A lot of people don't think of you as a mindset coach, but almost everything you teach is mindset, right? And Pray Drive is a lot about mindset and how you deal with things and how you attack. And they said some people, they've got to be deprogrammed, right? They've got this certain way of doing things for so long that they actually have to be deprogrammed. Now, when we had Sean Mike at the lodge that day, there were some young kids there and there were some older people there. And Sean Mike said, I'd take these young kids right here any day to sell insurance than older people because they don't know any better. You can program them correctly from the beginning. So talk about that further and faster. And when I did make that second offer, it's like, yes, you could get this in a group. You could do it with 50 other people. You could come to the lodge of 50 other people, or you could spend 2 days with Coach Burt. All right, I was in Mexico 2012 doing the original 10X, 50 people there. And I'm sitting there talking to Cardone, Grant Cardone, for those of you that are watching, just like this right here, man. I'm out there by the pool, sitting by him, asking him questions. How did you get these people? Where did this come from? What? And he would just make little statements to me, like just in passing. And one of the statements he said to me, I said, man, I'm going to take this back and really do something big back in Nashville. And he just stopped me right there. And he said, hey, quit talking like that. And I said, what do you mean? He said, quit talking so small. And he just made this statement to me. Your market is planet Earth. Go back and figure out a way to sell your coaching services to everybody on the planet. Now, that's when I got into online coaching. See, we wouldn't have had an event with 600 people on it the other day, online from all over the world. Like that one comment of being down there in Mexico with him. Did it cost me money to go to Mexico? Yes. Did it cost me a hotel? Yes. And he was always so good. He would say, man, I want you to come speak at this event. And then I had to buy a ticket to go speak at it. So I would go just like a regular person and say, Coach, get up here and talk. So he was so good. He would still sell me a ticket to go speak at his conference. So what's your thoughts about that when it relates to that second offer of coming and spending 2 days with me, what a person will get? Because you've been able to work with me a lot closer than from in the beginning when you didn't know me. And you probably thought, man, this dude does this, this, and this. What's the power in being having proximity to somebody?
Well, there's a lot of things that people don't take into consideration. When you talk to somebody who's a high-level coach, they have a network too. So it's not only that you're getting the transfer of knowledge to and from, it's also you're getting the network, you're getting the relationships, you're getting access to other people that you wouldn't normally have access to. I mean, essentially, me being in your network gives me access to all the people in your network, because by me showing up and doing my work, you would then at some point be able to, share that knowledge that I have something that someone may need, and I could basically use my services or whatever that is for them. So that's the first thing that I would say that people don't even take into consideration when working with a coach. If you show up and you be the good student and you show progress, by doing so, the person who's giving you something is really happy to share with you someone in their network because they say, hey, this person's doing something. So I think that's one takeaway that people don't even see. They just think that this can be a transfer between you and the other person. Right. So take Jeff, he's got a book that's going to come out that we kind of like sat there and came up with the name, and he didn't have that. He was saying it in every other different way, but he didn't have the specifics. So, he was able to sit there in a 2-day powwow and get the name of a book, which could be everything, right? At the end of the day, you can have a book. If it's got the most powerful name, people are going to stop and know exactly what that is. I think we came up with something that, basically is going to jump out at people and give him at least a first look. It's going to be a scroll stop, right? So it's going to be one of those things. So that alone, you could decide, what the price of that's going to be for him and his industry.
Well, coming
Finding out,
yeah. I mean, and the truth is, we're talking about spending 2 days with a guy named Jeff Brawley, and the truth is, the book title didn't come out until day 2 at lunch, really toward the end of the 2-day experience, and then it was like, boom, that's it. That's the name of the book. That's the name of the program, and so a lot of people don't want to do what Cal Newport. This is why I love Cal Newport's work on deep work. And he talked about psychologist Carl Jung, who went out to the woods, built a house, then built a study right beside it, then would stay out in the woods for all this time and take a long walk every day, get up and concentrate for 3 or 4 hours on something, then he'd take a long walk. He did the deep work. See, when you see people that are really great at what it is they do, you're trying to figure out, how do they make that much money? How do they do this? How do they do this? Well, for years, they were underpaid. For years, they were underpaid, and then they start getting overpaid. And here's what everybody said: "Oh, I could do that." I guarantee there are people there at the Activate event today goes, "Oh, I could get up there like Coach Burt and do that." And I would say, "Well, do it." It's like a dude walked up to me at 10X when I spoke, and he goes, "I mean, I should have been on stage. I could do it. I could do it." And I said, "But you didn't figure out how to get on stage, man. Like whether you could or couldn't." Like I figured out how to get on big stages. Family First is coming up in a few weeks. We believe between 12 and 20,000 people through relationships, through adding value, through being a person of interest. Like a lot of people believe they can do things, but they haven't done the deep work that it takes to be great. And so I think it, sure, I could go watch a country music singer singing, man. I could do that. Get up there and run around for a couple hours until you actually have to do it. And then not just one time. Do it for 15 or 20 years. Do it every night. Do it in front of every audience you can imagine. So I think there's a lot of misconception. People believe that they can do things, but they haven't put in the deep work. And part of the deep work, in my opinion, is being in the room. Being in the room and observing. See, I've been in coaching programs just to observe, how do they do it? How's this a $40 million coaching company? What do they do? How do they coach people? How do they market? How do they run it? So there's a lot to be learned from people by being in a close proximity to them, where you could just ask them direct questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? Daniel Hodges came the other day. That dude's been with me for 7 years. He's probably flown on my jet at least 5 times. Just by saying, "Hey man, can I go with you? Can I be around you? Can I add value?" At the end of the day, you know what he was doing? The dude was taking out trash and picking up chairs, and that's just the kind of dude he is. But you know what? He gets access because of that. And he's probably invested $25,000 a year for the last 7 years in his coaching.
Yeah, you said it right there. Something I want to pick up on. I bought probably 10% of the programs that I bought courses, not because I wanted them. I just wanted to watch how they were going to sell me. Right. I wanted to watch what their upsells were. I wanted to watch what their marketing was. I wanted to watch how they follow up. So like, if you have a desire to do speaking or coaching or something, then you want to surround yourself around those people. You want to watch what they do, see how they interact, see what their pitch is, see how they bring it up. It's just not the same when you watch it virtually. So, I mean, by you saying getting in the room, you could see the whole production. You could see how it actually is. It's pretty amazing. I was on the set of a couple of different movie sets. I was in a couple of movies earlier on when I was in New York City, and I saw how that works. It's pretty amazing, to see actually the workings. Like here's just a quick example. You see a scene in a movie, but you see 2 angles. Do you know how many times that's shot? Like 20 times. Like you get 10 angles this way, 10 angles this way, and they have to move the whole production. It's like a full day's worth of work, just like a hallway walk down. And so like, that's part of what you're going to see, because you need to prepare. You need to walk through the steps and reps, just like a football player or anyone practicing something. It's sets, reps, repeat, sets, reps, repeat. So if you're not in the room watching, the person put on a show, then how are you going to be able to put on a show yourself? So essentially what you just mentioned is kind of just basically, being the shadow, be the fly on the wall. And part of it is just access and proximity, seeing how you interact, seeing how many times you follow up. I could tell you, I get more text messages now than I have ever gotten in my entire life in a single day, just being around you, because that's our form of communication, but it's just not here. It's the network. Now I have all the other people. So call that a good thing, call that a bad thing. It just shows you what it takes, the amount of steps and the amount of touches to make action happen. And it's always action. At the end of the day, all you can say, it's always action. And people just don't know how to take action because they get confused by what to do, but yet they won't go buy coaching because now they're saying, I don't have the money to do that. No kidding, because you're not taking action.
Yeah. And the fact that if it ever comes out of your mouth that you don't have the money to do something, it's all the more reason you need to go learn how to get the money to be able to go do something. Okay. I mean, I hear this a lot. I hear people say, man, I don't have money, or I'm scared, or I've tried multiple things and it never worked. And I've been in a lot of coaching programs, and some were better than others, but this is why I always got my money's worth, because I believe it is the learner's responsibility to extract maximum value from the instructor. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a young lady there. It's a new coaching client of ours, Emily Sexton, out of East Tennessee. She sat on the front row. I believe she literally transcribed every word I said. Like, I would say it, and it was like, you see what I'm saying? When I was done, she's like, I got clarity. This is what I need to do. Boom. I need to make these decisions. Okay. But she was serious. Yeah. She wanted to sit on the front row. Those college students, we're not doing enough to tap into the 18 to 30 market, because I resonate well with that audience. And those college students come up, they stood after one by one and come up to me and said, look, I want to do this. What do I need to do? I want to do this. I want to be a lawyer, but I want to sell real estate. I want to do this, but I want to do this. The best thing they could do is get in the room and shadow under somebody already doing it. Like, this is where college is going. This is where success school is going. This is where universities are going. By the time my daughter and your daughter, it's Fabiano, right? Fabiano, she's 8 years old. And Ella Grace is 10 years old. By the time they're in college, this is what college is going to look like. They're going to say, Dad, this is what I want to do. You're going to go, okay, let me go find the number one person in the world who's doing it, and I'm going to pay for you to go shadow them for 2 or 3 or 4 years. 100%. And you're going to carry their bags. You're going to drive them from place to place. You're going to book their plane tickets. Whatever you can do to be around them, observing and watching a master work, that's going to be your university. Okay.
My number one thing I say to just about everyone who's in that age, that younger bracket, is like, go intern, free, paid, it doesn't matter, but get yourself around the thing you think you want to do. Yeah. Because a lot of times you think, and it's only up here, and then you go do it, and you're like, man, I don't want to do that. I could tell you right now, right. I talked to myself, I literally went to school for finance to be a financial planner. I did that for an internship. I got the job. I turned it down. I was like, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? MetLife Barnum Financial. I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit there and do that job. So essentially, you have to be around the thing that you think you want to do. So if you think you want to be a speaker, you better get your butt around speakers. You think you want to be a coach, get yourself around good coaches.
Well, what they don't see, and this is important, if you want to be a speaker, number one, I don't discourage anybody from doing it, but it's not a great business model. You're on the road, you're speaking, you're away from your family, you're in hotel rooms, you're out there by yourself a lot. There are moments of it being glamorous and you're on stage and you get a lot of attention. If you get good at it, you know, you can make good money, but it's not a credible business model. Okay. There's better business models than being a speaker. Now, speaking to become a person of interest is what I try to teach people today. The reason you want to be on stage, this is what I would say. Very few people can speak can in 6 hours produce $200,000 or $300,000. Or if we get our virtuals down, which is why I was meeting with Caleb and Natalia, is to do bigger events so I can do less of them. You know, and there is a path to 2 or 3 million of revenue doing 4 events. If you get the leads in correctly, they're nurtured over a cycle of time. They are driven to events. We feed the cycle with things like I did the other day, which could be free events. And then we activate that energy and literally walk out of there with $2 or $3 million, or maybe $1 million per event, and you do 4 and you make $4 million. And I'm telling you, now that is a good business model. Okay. It's a much better business model than, so I'm constantly thinking, how do we do this better? If you're an artist, you got to go on the road. And I enjoy going on the road. I enjoy seeing people. I enjoy meeting people. I actually enjoy the speaking. I enjoy coaching at the lodge. I enjoy certain things. I don't enjoy picking up the phone and trying to call somebody and saying, hey, you need a coach, argue with them for 10 minutes, trying to convince them to take action. I would much rather do it the way I did it on Friday. Coach my heart out and say, look, here it is. Professionally make an offer. And there's not 9 out of 10 speakers that know how to do that. I guarantee you they don't know how to do that. And then build a bridge between the audience's ambition and the product. And in that case, it was 8 weeks with me. It starts this Tuesday. People can still get in on it. It's 8 weeks with me working through what we call the monster method, which is a proven methodology to grow a business. It's with me. And then when they come to a boot camp on February the 10th, and where I go through both the tactical side and the connection side. And you really can't have one without the other. The connection piece is real important. So I just think if you're out there watching this tonight, we kind of get on here and just jam. It's a little bit different. It's not planned. It's not scripted. We take a subject. Tonight is really using fear to take action. In the new book, I'm reading my new book right now. Okay. And this is 100% the best book I've ever written. Okay. Because it's even keeping my attention, and I wrote it, right. I wrote it over a 2-year cycle, and I'm literally reading it going, making a note. That's good. That's great. That's a good hook. That's a good way of saying that. Like I'm taking notes in it, but in it, it says throughout the book, when in doubt, take an action.
Yep.
There was an instinct. See, there were people the other day, Craig, who had the instinct and said, this guy can help me. I could see it in their eyes. Like they're sitting there and they want to do it. They want to do it, and then they get afraid. Then they want to do it, and then they're afraid. And then they want to do it, and then they're afraid. And it's like, man, they just can't overcome the inertia. Sometimes you just got to go. And that instinct is, man, I'm scared. I need to do this. And I get, there's no way you'll be worse off. If anything, you'll be better off. There's no way you could be worse off after 8 weeks of the coaching.
Here's something I want to just throw out to like the crowd. I don't know if you guys are, and I don't know if you want us to share that link, because I know that was an event special. I'm sure that it's not the same right now. You guys missed out if you didn't take action. But look, when I coach people on fitness and tell them to go eat, a lot of times they're going to go out and they're going to be in the world, right? In the sea of, places that are going to probably lead them astray. However, what I tell them to do is eat off the menu. Don't eat what's on the menu because it's already pre-planned, et cetera. So, for example, if someone's scared of the current financial commitments that they might have to make, ask somebody if there's a payment option. Ask somebody if you can fit your needs. Like, find a way. At the end of the day, we don't want to say no to you. We want to help you. Essentially, you're a coach, I'm a coach. I would like to help somebody. That yes, they have to meet some standards or some financial commitments, because we believe it's basically, at the end of the day, we just said, free people came, we signed you up free. 1,500 basically was the number, 500 came, that's 30-some%, right? At the end of the day, since you didn't pay, you didn't come, right? So there has to be a transfer of money somewhere. So you put your payment down so you actually become serious. But if the number's too high for you, go ask for some kind of a payment plan or some version that you can get in. Maybe there's not the max and you don't hit the top, but maybe there's a version that we can give you that gets you started. So what I would say is, don't just sit by yourself and suffer in silence. Find a means to get into the place that you want to get to and pay what you can pay. And if it's only a little bit now, say, hey, this is what I have, and let's see if there's an option for you. So that's something people are just not resourceful enough to even ask. That's the first problem, I would say. The second is just, you know what? You have to believe in you, because if you're not, we can't believe in you either. My daughter, I catch her all the time, just second guessing herself. Daddy, I don't think I can do this. And I'm the one pushing her. I believe in you. I believe you have the skills to do this. I know, because I've seen other people do it your age or whatever. I know you can do it. So if we see people maximizing their potential, making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands a month, and you're way below that number, then you should take into consideration that we know it's possible and we know that there's a route to get there. And if you want that, find a way to get that information from us somehow. Maybe it's not the top package, but maybe there's a package for you. But I would suggest you guys find a way to do something. At the end of the day, doing nothing is only going to get you where you are. And that's where you don't want to be.
Well, I'll close with this. A lot of people think you need courage to take an action. And the truth is, you commit to things first. Then you get courage along the way. Then you get a new capability or a new capacity. Then you have confidence. See, a lot of people they're sitting there waiting on the courage to come. Courage ain't coming, folks. Courage is not coming. Okay. It doesn't come until you're forced to have it. Okay. And when you're forced to have it, because I made a commitment, I'm going to back that commitment up. My wife's getting on a plane on Tuesday going to California. She's in a coaching program. She paid $25,000 for it. And I guarantee she's scared. She's going to be around 45 powerful women. It's pushing her way outside of her comfort zone. Okay. To go to California by herself with other women. She don't know who these women are. They're all people willing to pay 25,000. So that tells me one thing about them. Right.
Yep.
And I got to give that woman credit. She got 45 women to pay 25 grand. That's $1 million, you know. So she's got a coaching program that generated $1 million right there. And, you know, it's like Natalie's a little nervous, got some anxiety. Hey, I said, look, man, she has no idea what the woman's going to teach her. She just knows this woman works with high-powered women and she wants to grow. Okay. Put the money down. That's commitment. Now get out there, get in a room with these people. You'll get some courage. Okay. Then you're going to learn something. That's your capability. I guarantee you she'll come home totally more confident than when she leaves. Okay. I guarantee you she'll have more confidence. Just the act of going out to California and doing it is going to give her more confidence. So if I want to
ready.
Yeah.
Let me give you some kudos, and in your relationship, some kudos. Natalie was sitting in the back of the room. I was right next to her. She's sitting there taking notes from you on stage.
Yep.
She freaking lives with you.
Yep.
So that just to give everybody in the crowd or whoever might come across this video, his wife was in the back of the room taking friggin' notes. She is around him whenever she can be, right? Obviously. And she's heard him speak, but yet she's sitting back there taking notes because you know what? Life changes. Your circumstances change. And although you might have heard something yesterday, it might hit differently today. And so that's why coaching is consistent, being around somebody who's always pouring into you. And it doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be you, but it has to be somebody pouring into you on a daily basis because circumstances change. We never even heard of COVID 5 years ago, you know, most of us anyway, you know, so we now have living with that experience. I always talk about the lens that we see the world through. Now, all of us have a bias to what we just saw. And how do we transfer that? So again, I just want to put it out there as far as it goes. You guys have to learn that things change and that you should always be looking to level up in some capacity, whether it's, again, through some coaching program, through some online course that you're doing. But again, at the end of the day, evolution and growth is part of our DNA. You know, we're born from creation, but we're, you know, as humans, we evolve. Look at what we've done. We're the only species that can basically, you know, think is cognitive. Here's the funny thing. My dogs were stuck the other day and all I had to do was loop them around like, you know, the little chair thing and they got themselves unstuck, but they're not smart enough to think like that. Right. We have the capacity to grow and learn and adapt. You should continue to adapt, never be stagnant.
Yep. And if you're out there and I'm talking to you tonight, and you're stuck somewhere, or you're complacent, or you're in a rut, or your prey drive's deactivated, or you're scared, or you're one of the people sitting in the room the other day that when I made the offer, you wanted to do it, but you were scared to do it. I mean, it's not too late. You got to ask yourself, if you go to the end of 2023, the worst thing about getting to the end of the year is having the same results you had at the beginning of the year, right? And you just spent the whole year complaining about it. You didn't do anything about it. You didn't get any new knowledge. You don't have any new capabilities. You just got the same results, but there's really nobody to blame but you because it's so available to you. It's like just go down the right. It's like just go down the road and get it. You get online and get it. So, you know, we do these on Sunday night because it gives us a chance to get ready for the week. All my planning is done before I go to bed on Sunday night for the week, guys. I've already got my level 10s, my blue marlins, my hit list, my red zone. When I get into work on Mondays, it's about execution of an idea. That's all it's about. Okay. So I want to encourage you. There's 17 days left before this book comes out. Okay. If you get the book during that window, flip the switch. I posted it 4 or 5 times. Number one, the book's going to be a game changer for you. Number two, there's going to be, there's still a lot of incredible things you get when you purchase the book. The visioneering. I think one of the best things, Craig, is the masterclass you get of me breaking the whole book down chapter by chapter on video. And you get that instantly when you purchase the book, right? Through the link that we put out there. So, you know, I love spending time with the author of a book to go, okay, how did you come up with this? And what does this mean? And just add so much more depth and breadth to the book. So get a copy of the book, get one for your team. I really believe Prey Drive in 2023, it's going to be a lot of teams that need their Prey Drive activated. And if you're a leader of a team, I'd have a book for every one of these people. I know Nick Fields bought another 50 copies, I think over the weekend. He
Oh,
already
really?
he already
Good.
bought 250 copies, so now he's up to 300 copies.
Man.
And every teacher should read Flip the Switch. Anybody in a leadership position should read Flip the Switch. Anybody struggling to get their Pray Drive activated should read it. I'll be happy to do book clubs for you, come in and speak for you. Whatever you need me to do to help you and your unit move to a better level. But this is a great book for teams, man. Just working through the activators of Pray Drive. It's a great book. If you got 10,000 employees, it's a great book. We've had them read Atomic Habits. They've had them read the 7 Habits. Everybody's read Good to Great. Okay, this is a good book that you say, hey, everybody in the whole place needs to read. It's universal. Operations, sales, management, leadership. Everybody's got a Pray Drive. So what I'd like to see more, Craig, is really people say, man, our whole team needs to be reading this book. This needs to be our book club right here. Okay. All right. Good night tonight. See you guys this week. I'll be on in the morning. Let's have a great week. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs to activate that Pray Drive. Thank you guys for watching tonight. Sunday night prep work, Pray Drive with Coach and Craig.